more than talk. I guess that you can call us friends, but that's not what I want at all. Get into the space I'm in. I wanna do more than talk. I'm not feeling conversational. I don't really wanna play it cool. Take this to another level. More than talk. Go ahead and make it so comfortable. So you think some melody you wanna know. As long as you take this to another level. Take this to another level. Skittering on the edge of your shirt, wondering who will make the move first, making me forget I've been hurt. I've never been so bold or reckless. Now we're running out of words, overturning tables we turn, throwing out the things that I've learned. Cross the line and take my chances. And baby, thinking this is it. Either it's right or wrong, but I've already pictured it. And I wanna do more than talk. Nothing like a crazy risk to give me what I really want. Get into the space I'm in. I wanna do more than talk. I don't really wanna play it cool. Take this to another level. More than talk. Go ahead and make it so comfortable. I'll show you things you never knew you wanted now. As long as you take this to another level. Take this to another level. Hello? Oh my god, I messed up on the way that I set up my stream stuff. I have one scene collection of like every scene that I've ever used on stream ever. And then what I usually do is I duplicate it and create a new stream and delete some scenes that I won't need for today just to clear up. I don't know if that's necessary. That seems a little extra now that I'm saying it out loud, but in general it's just helped me streamline everything. But I forgot that or like it's now the scene list is so long that I tried to just copy and paste some scenes into this one since I only need 4 today. Just this full screen and the BRB and the starting soon, etc. And I forgot to move all of my like filters and stuff over. Like right now, actually I'm not sure how my audio sounds because I just added some filters afterwards, so hopefully I sound okay. Also, I'm sick, so sorry about that. Probably not super pleasant to listen to. How's everybody doing today? We're just gonna have a chill stream today because I am still feeling sick. However, it is the last stream before the drought, so did want to have a chance to catch up before I head out. What is my favorite song off of Dawn FM? Oh my god, it's been a while since I've listened to it, so let me double check the track list. I think the one that I revisited most was Less Than Zero. I just think it's really cute. But yeah, they're all pretty good. I'm also sick. I feel like everyone is getting sick right now, so you are definitely not alone. Did anybody, oh my god, I gave you homework. Did anybody watch the Vince Staples show? And what did you think about it? Path, do you listen in albums or playlists? I definitely listen more to albums than I do anything else. So, I didn't? Oh shoot, because I wanted to talk about it a little bit. But I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. It is really good. I will say it It was kind of cheeky humor, and there was a little MF Doom reference, and I was like, hey, I just listened to Food, so I understand this reference. I think one of the characters was just humming "Friends, how many of us have them?" And I was like, I know that song. First time catching a Path stream, Pog. Well, now I won't be streaming for 2 weeks. So thanks for joining us. Also, we have a new Powerade flavor today. This is golden mango flavor. Hopefully it's good. I think it's interesting to see Vince's perspective of Long Beach and his relationship to the world as a black man with his past. I only just finished episode 2, so I haven't seen too much, but I really like the direction that it's heading so far. It does remind me a lot of like Atlanta style, just in the pacing and the storytelling. There are some twists that I wasn't expecting though, even in the 2 episodes that I've seen, so really enjoying it so far. Another thing that I watched yesterday was, has anyone heard of the Vice documentary season called Noisy Bompton? Yeah, I won't spoil it. But let me see if I can share my screen for this. Oh, that was another scene that I should have copied into. Whatever. I have not. What is it about? It's, they visit Compton, but because they're visiting, like, the Blood, the gang, the Blood, areas, they usually call it, or they usually replace all the C's with B's, so they call it Bompton. This documentary was released in 2016, but all of the episodes are private now. And I was wondering if anyone knew why, because I mean there are ways to watch it. So I did. I watched the entire thing last night and I started crying. I just love Kendrick. Also, I'm very emotional and sick, and my hormones are all over the place. So I was crying quite a bit last night. I was like, oh my god, his survivor's guilt, his story, his like introspection, and I don't know, it's just a beautiful series, so I'm wondering why it's private. If you get a chance to watch it, I would recommend it. Ugh. Vice is shutting down all digital content? I don't know. To me, it looks like Noisy is like a series. Oh my god, I'm not wearing my... Hold on. I'm not wearing my poncho. They're going bankrupt? Oh god. This is sad. I haven't seen too many Vice series or anything like that, but this one was really, really good. We visited a bunch of like friends that Kendrick grew up with, talked about them and their stories. I thought maybe it was because a few of the people that we visited in the series like got arrested, so they didn't want to have that content up anymore, but I'm not sure. I used to watch a lot of Vice drug documentaries. Yeah, I think I got a couple recommended to me right after. It was like, can you be a high-functioning heroin user? I was like, I wouldn't even attempt. Tattoo docs? Oh, did they do the documentary of like, I can't remember what it's called, but there was this, I want to say Italian tattoo parlor that just would like completely black out your skin. That looked really intense and painful, and I would never do that, I think. Didn't Andrew Callaghan start making videos under Vice before Channel 5? I have no idea. I don't know too much about Andrew. My teacher used to show us some Vice stuff, and some of their older documentaries were so good. Yeah, I really liked... I mean, I've only seen a couple of these series, but it's such a shame. Let me see if I can share this with you. Like, look at this. They're all private and unavailable. But the series made me cry. So again, would recommend if you can find it. My sister's flying to Paris soon. Any good tips? How soon? I think now, if you're visiting this year, I think now is probably a decent time to visit. Even though the weather is awful, it's just gonna get terrible in the summer. So, good luck. Maybe someone in the Kendrick subreddit downloaded the vids for documentation's sake. I just found them in the web archive, so. Anyway, so those were the two things that I've watched recently that I kind of wanted to talk about. I think it's not a good time to visit because of the Olympics. Oh, definitely not. The weather was bad when I went. Okay, it's like, it's weird right now because it's all over the place. So in one day, in the span of one day, it will be like extreme wind, hail, sunny, and then raining. It's just like unpredictable right now. So the weather is not great right now, but that also means people aren't outside. So you can go do stuff. I arrived at the function drenched. So windy too. Yeah, I think we had like we had some sort of wind weather warning. But I've been inside for most of the time, so I'm not, so I'm fine. Do you know Juiced Klein? I don't think so. The only Vice thing I've seen is Dark Side of the Ring, and this documentary about Zimbabwe's addiction to lean among young people. Yeah, it seems like they cover a variety of topics, but sad to see that they're going bankrupt. Bad timing for me to get into that. My watch list priorities for shows are Better Call Saul, The Bear, Vince Staples Show, and One Day. I also... Actually, all of those are actually on my list. I think today, because I don't know how long I will have energy to actually stream, we can try the Twitch watch party again. And we can try watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but I looked at it earlier and it said that it's not widely available, which doesn't make sense to me because isn't it an Amazon Prime show? So wouldn't it be available to people with Amazon Prime? I don't know. We can't watch it on stream, but Twitch has a feature that if you connect your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account, then you should be able to access the movie. We discovered, because last time we watched The Grinch, we discovered that it doesn't show for everybody, and you have your own controls over the playback, so we can be out of sync sometimes. So I don't know, it's kind of a janky situation, but it's legal. So that's all I'm asking for, is more legal watch party options. So we're gonna try that again, and I think we'll just watch the first episode of Mr. and Mrs. Smith or something. Yeah, I will have a watch bar so that you can sync up if you lose your place. But we'll see. That'll probably be after. I do want to talk a bit about, can you separate the artist from the art? Let me see. Let me pull up this video, because this is gonna be, I feel like, kind of a touchy subject for right now. I hate, stop popping up things. No, don't, okay. Not the Fantano vid. We're not gonna watch it, but just to give some context as to why. Why did my music stop as soon as I started playing that? Okay. As to why I want to talk about this. Fantano is having a mental breakdown over that topic. Yeah, it is because of this debate that he had with duplee? I'm not sure. But after I watched that, I just felt so, like, unsatisfied because they didn't really touch on the subject much. This is a video. I won't play it, but you can look it up if you want to watch it later. Essentially, they're just talking in circles. Mostly about deplatforming and whether or not canceling makes a difference. So it felt a little off topic for me. 90 minutes? Yeah, okay, I watched the whole thing on 2x speed. And then I watched Hassan reacting to it in 2x speed, and his video is like twice as long. Because I was like, I don't understand why they're so off topic. Anyway, I was really upset after watching that because I wanted to talk about whether or not people feel like they can separate the art from the artist. It's something that I'm very curious about. So I thought we'd bring it to the stream. Okay, here's my prepared speech. Are you ready? So I'm sure many of you saw this train wreck of a debate between Anthony Fantano and Duplee. It was supposed to be a conversation about whether you can separate the art from the artist, but I feel like they derailed a bit into political views, whether we should platform certain ideologies, etc. That's definitely a point to make and a conversation to have, but I feel like it's outside of the realm of what I've expected to hear their opinions on, because the title of the debate was Separating the Art from the Artist. Something like that. Separate the art from the artist. And I felt like they had a hard time coming back to that. So let's talk about it. Personally, I feel like this debate will never be settled because it's always going to be nuanced and it will always have to be looked at from a case-by-case perspective. That's because, one, I and many others see art as a form of self-expression. Therefore, how can an artist not include at least parts of themselves in any art that they create? And two, consumers have different tastes in art. You don't consciously control what you find to be a good song or a bad song, and that's part of the beauty of it. There's something for everyone. And I think that we'll mostly be talking about music in this context because that's just what we explore most around here. I also want to make it clear that I don't want to vilify people for simply liking the music that they like, but I do want you to really think about why you like certain songs or artists, where this conversation tends to rise. And of course, some of you submitted your thoughts on the matter, and we won't go over all of them, but I thought it would be good to kickstart the conversation a little bit. Okay, let me pull up your, does this work? Okay, so this is, someone else submitted this. I can definitely separate the art from the artists. I hear the discussion about this topic all the time. There are many things that many artists have done, but that doesn't indicate the music for me. Kanye has a great discography. Michael Jackson is still one of the most famous artists to ever exist, and people still listen to his music. And Trapped in the Closet is super funny. I don't know what that means. If the music is still good, the artist doesn't matter. Silent Hill is my favorite favorite shut my brain off music ever, and Kodak sucks, doesn't he? Oh, Trapped in the Closet is a song by R. Kelly. Okay, here's the problem, is that I don't know R. Kelly, and I don't really know what he did. I remember I needed to look into it after, because it was mentioned in Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. But I still haven't gotten around to it. Partly because I haven't even listened to his music, so didn't really make a big difference to me. The context is still there, though. And this is interesting bringing up Kodak as well, because I didn't know about Kodak until after I listened to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers Part 1. And then even then, knowing what I did while listening to Part 2, I was like, this is interesting. And it made me think, why would Kendrick want to bring him onto the album? You know, just extra food for thought. R. Kelly is like, I saw that there was a documentary, so is this a YouTube video? Probably not. I mean, the VOD will be up, but Sorry, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I know that there's a documentary on it, and I've been meaning to watch it ever since I listened to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, but have not got around to it. Silent Hill is one of my favorites of Mr. Morale. Yeah, I mean, I love that album to death, and I think because I'm so detached from Kodak Black, it's a little easier for me to make that disconnection. And I think that's a theme that we'll come across throughout these submissions. Okay, if people really cared so much, they wouldn't consume a majority of popular media today. A majority of people in fame are fucked up just the way it goes. Just enjoy what you want. I don't really know how I feel about this because it makes me feel like we're just gonna ignore the problem altogether. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. I think the majority of people aren't even that aware, they just listen. I think that's true too, to an extent. Especially since not all artists get the same amount of media coverage as, say, Kanye West does. So not everyone knows about everything. I think Fantano made a good point of making separating art from the artist an easier thing to do if the artist doesn't put said art inside of music. I think that's a good point too, if they're completely separate. Then of course it's easier to separate them. If you separate the art from the artist when the artist, then the artist when the artist itself is implemented in the lyrics, you are just stupid. Outside of that context, that is completely fine. This one I feel like is directly about the Vultures stuff. And I haven't listened to it, but I have heard that there are direct remarks, direct anti-Semitic remarks made in the album, so I don't know. I feel like if it's that direct, then yeah, it's a little harder. There's cheating on my partner kind of bad person, and there's doing crimes bad person, very different things. Are you talking about in relation to like who it affects, if it's only people in their personal life versus like sending a message out into the world? Do you use your softbox now? Lighting is fire. Yeah, I have one softbox here and one softbox back there. But I've been using them for a while, so I like the just enjoy what you want, but definitely feels like people should know shitty stuff their favorite artist has done to decide if they still want to be listening to that. I agree. I feel like it's hard though because it's kind of like raining on someone's parade at that point. It depends more on the art than the artist. If the art is directly about the artist, I don't think you can. For example, Danny Brown's Carantana or Kendrick's Good Kid, Mad City. But if they tell a story with their art or put on a persona, i.e. most of Tyler's albums, David Bowie's Aladdin, Sane, I feel like it's easier. The one that comes to mind for this one is actually The Weeknd, and we talked about him earlier. It's harder for me to listen to him now because it feels like it's not even a character anymore, at least to me. That's just my opinion. But it is harder for me to go back and listen to his music. I don't know. At first it was fine. Yeah, but The Weeknd is actually that type of person. I understand that now, but when I was first diving into his discography, everyone was telling me, oh, it's just a character. So, I think that's the point I'm trying to make. Also, sorry if I'm a little incoherent, I'm still sick. I'm just gonna use that as an excuse, but he's for real a freak. In my opinion, yes. My example is R. Kelly. Phenomenal music, but a terrible human being. I still listen to R. Kelly, but I don't excuse his actions in exchange for good music. Something like Goblin by Tyler is very sick, but he doesn't actually cut people up in his basement. I think what I hear most about Tyler's old music is that it was made directly for shock value. So he tried to make the most like messed up stories that he could. And I think that's different from like putting yourself on blast for something that you did, or you know, the intent of it is what matters. See, I can't listen to R. Kelly because the art is too close to what he was convicted for. I think I did see that I might be getting this wrong, so maybe I don't want to say this on stream. But didn't he marry Aaliyah when she was underage? I feel like that by itself is like strange behavior. She was 14 or so. Oh, yikes. I think there was like definitely a power imbalance there, not only because of the age, but because she wanted to be in the music industry, didn't she? I know that she eventually did push past that barrier, because people were telling me after after I brought her up on my channel that she did become a big voice in the music industry. So it does make me feel like, even though I haven't looked into it, maybe there was a power imbalance there. And I don't want to talk too much about these examples because, like I said, I don't know too much about them, so they are just being mentioned by whoever submitted these. But it's interesting, it's interesting that this person is able to just completely separate them, just completely compartmentalize like that. So I think it's a good perspective to look at, even if I don't agree with it. No, I think all art is inherently political to some degree and influenced by the artist's bias and worldviews. I don't know about this one. Oh, sorry. A thing I forgot to add to my submission was that actions speak louder than words. IMO, abuse and other examples will always hold more of a negative weight. Oh my god. Than what at the end of the day is considered freedom of speech, but things are terrible though. Yeah, I guess it's like, where do you draw the line? And that goes back to what we were talking about before, where it's like, is it something that is actively harming other people? Or is it something that's just, you know, a difference in your in who you are or in your beliefs, stuff like that. I feel like those characters or personas are just personification of whatever the artist is going through. It's a way to present it and explain it from another point of view, or maybe makes it easier to do that way. I think that that's true in some cases. And that's what makes it kind of a slippery slope. It's like, is there what's the intention behind it? Is there any truth to it in how it's presented in other assets or other aspects outside of just using it as art? But this person says, I think it depends on the person and the art. There's art that's, in my opinion, truly transcends the artist and turns into something that will forever be part of culture, even if the artist turns out to be problematic. Michael Jackson is the first person that comes to mind in this case. But then there's art that is tied to the artist and their ideals to the point where the art and the artist cannot be separated from most people. You'll always think about the things that the artist said/did and wonder if certain lyrics have had deeper meanings now. And lastly, I think some artists just do stuff that's so heinous. Sorry. That's so, oh my god, sorry. I just had a coughing fit. Where was I? You'll always think about the things the artist said/did and wonder if certain lyrics have different, deeper meanings now. And lastly, I think some artists just do stuff that's so heinous that even if the art doesn't relate to the situation at all, you just can't consume it without feeling bad whenever you hear it. I don't know if any of this made sense, lol. Yeah, I think I understand. I kind of had the same reaction with Young Thug, because I loved his voice on first listen, but because I heard about all of the trial stuff, his RICO sentence and stuff like that, it made me wonder, especially in Metro Boomin's Heroes and Villains, like, are these, I don't know if these lyrics should be admissible in court or not. I'm not going to say if they should be, but is this what he's talking about, you know? Does that mean truly humbled under God? Yeah, Thug is probably not beating that case. I keep getting more news in my email about it. I'm like, yeah. But it in relation to what this person submitted, it does make me go back on those lyrics and wonder, like, oh man, I wonder how much of this is actually true versus character versus whatever. There's a conversation to be had about how RICO charges are a blatant way to convict any gang-associated people. He was cooked when one of his lawyers mentioned a Bleach arc. Oh my god, I feel like we should have an entire live stream where we go over everything that's happened in the case so far, because there's just so much to talk about, and I'm a little behind, so I would like to catch up. We can learn together. The amount of lyrics that haven't aged well is crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm that's why I brought it up in the first place, is because it made me do a double take after I learned more about the case and went back to the music that I have heard, the features that I have heard, and I was like, wait a second. Your Honor, that's cap. Yeah, I feel like we should pocket this. We should pocket this and we should have a full conversation about it and going up and down everything that's happened, because I feel like that'd be interesting. I think there's a few factors it comes down to. When people say separate the art from the artist, a lot of times they aren't seeing how the artist influences the art. Like, the new Kanye album is dripping with references to his anti-Semitism, so no separation is possible there. The same could be said for something like Harry Potter. Rowling's views shine through. You can't separate the art from the artist and ignore the art. I also think it's different if the artist is dead. Not like I listened to Beethoven, but by today's standards, he was probably a bad dude. However, he's dead, and listening to his music doesn't help him hurt more people. Well, I think Beethoven's a different... I guess kind of a different... like, realm of this conversation. I know that... I feel like I know something happened. What did Beethoven do? I think he just, like, was very... I don't want to mince words, but he was very in control of his nephew, to the point where I think they had custody battles over him, and he really, really, really wanted to train him into his own musical endeavors, but his nephew didn't want to. I mean, where does MJ fit into all of this? So in that context, I feel like, yeah, not the best person maybe, but he didn't, I mean, there's, he didn't put any of that into his music. He was just very passionate about it, I think. I don't know, it's been a while since I've heard about the Beethoven stuff, so I might have some things wrong there, but... So, anyway, I was saying, I feel like the Beethoven example is a bit different because... Or maybe it's exactly what we were saying before, is that they're not directly related. But I don't know, what about the first part of their message, something like Harry Potter? Harry Potter is kind of a tricky one for me because I used to be a really big fan, especially when I was younger. But it's hard to tell if at this point it's because I'm disinterested because of all of the controversy that has happened afterward with Rowling, or if it's just because I've aged out of it. I don't know. Have you heard the Kendrick song Prayer? It was an unreleased song that I posted on the Path Discord music playlist. He talks about this exact topic in detail. I feel like, well, first of all, no, I haven't heard the song Prayer, but I feel like Kendrick does have a lot to say on the matter just from what I have heard with his topics on like mortal man and savior, and it's just a tricky subject. Kung Fu Kenny. Hi, Andy. Usually, he made graduation. No More Parties in LA. Isn't that from, am I thinking of the right album? That's in The Life of Pablo? Yeah. Didn't Kanye want to name one of his previous albums just straight up Hitler or something? I don't know. Yeah, I feel like this one is harder for me to give my own thoughts on because I haven't listened to Graduation. I haven't listened to 808s. I've only listened to his collaboration with Kid Cudi as Kids See Ghosts and The College Dropout. But I haven't revisited them. I would say I haven't revisited them much, but I have rewatched my video and a couple other creators' videos of Kids See Ghosts since then, so. It's sad? Oh man. It depends. There are artists with dark context. Okay, we'll start from here. There are artists with dark context, but that doesn't mean that they transfer that context into their songs. For example, Kanye as a person leaves much to be desired, but at least for me, he never crosses the line with his ideologies. The most he gets is to be a person with a huge ego, but that is one of the graces of listening to his albums. By not reflecting his ideologies in his music, at least for me, it is possible to separate his music, even though he as a person is disappointing. This is kind of directly against what I've heard about. Isn't it? I feel like we just talked about how he does have anti-Semitic comments in his new album. So I'm not sure. Maybe some people just don't read into it that much either. I don't know. Meanwhile, there are bands like Mayhem that do transfer their dark context into their work, making it impossible to separate the art from the artist as they capture all their thoughts and ideologies in it. I hope this is understood because I am using a translator. Kanye most definitely crosses the line, like way over the line. I think regardless of how heavily flavored the art is from the artist, the art and success of it further allows the artist a larger venue, stage, and the ability to spread bad messaging via other methods. Yeah, ultimately, a big part of it is responsibility on the artist. Oh my god, sorry, chat is moving too fast for my head right now. We also have to take into account today artists have a larger platform to spread their views in social media. Yeah, definitely. And in general, I feel like platforming is a greater conversation being had today anyway. For example, the Fantano video, they're mostly talking about platforming, so I guess that's where that conversation comes into play. Leaving all of Kanye's political views and all that stuff aside, musically he's been in a downward spiral, like the album was really bad. Well, it's not that serious. Well, I think it's being used as, I guess I don't know what the word would be, but people are using it as kind of an excuse to keep talking about him, in my opinion. I haven't listened to it, so obviously I can't give my thoughts on that. I think using good faith, I think they mean within his work he doesn't do that, but outside of it he does. How can we evaluate Albert Einstein? He was very aggressive with his wife. Interesting. I feel like I haven't heard that. I feel like ever since Kanye's mother passed, he's been going through a downward spiral. Yeah, a lot of the conversation with Kanye definitely needs to have mental health taken into account. I feel like he does suffer a lot from it, and he's been very open about it, and I feel like it's good to be open about it, but at the same time, it's there's even more pressure on him to take care of that. What album did Einstein drop, though? He's not in my top 5. If there is an artist doing controversial things, I believe you can separate the art from the artist as long as the controversial thing is not in the art. So this is kind of similar to what we were talking about before. If Michael Jackson was to talk about how much he loves kids in his songs, it would be very difficult to listen to his music and to separate his art because of all of his weird shit with little boys. On the hand, if someone like Tom MacDonald stopped rapping about how much of a racist and homophobe he is, he might be listenable, but because he's controversial and cringy, because his controversial and cringy political agendas are embedded in his music, it's practically unlistenable. I think I listened to Tom MacDonald against my will yesterday. Was that him? I don't remember. I was watching someone's stream yesterday and he just started rapping. He just started rapping it. Yido Band? Wait, I think, yeah, you were in the chat. Yeah, okay. Yeah, as worlds collide. Sean DeBlack did play Tom MacDonald. Sorry you had to go through that. It was so like random. I don't remember the context, but he started rapping and I was like, what is this? Because it definitely didn't feel like something that he made up on the spot. It was like something that he was trying to memorize. And I think he said it was Tom MacDonald. So I did listen to it against my will. He's Canadian? He was doing it ironically, yeah. Sorry, I feel like maybe we should have clarified that. Okay. I submitted other thoughts earlier, but I think a weird part of this stems from how good the art is. Like, if the album is a 9 out of 10, but the bad thing that the artist did is only a 7 to 10 on the evil/hateful scale, the art and the artist are more likely to be given a pass. Honestly, I feel like this is true in most scenarios. It's like kind of a balance. It feels like it can be easy to take a moral stance, maybe even virtue signal, when the art is bad or mid. This is something I really wrestled with when X was alive. Some of the music really connected with how I was feeling, and I continued to listen even though I was aware of the awful things he was accused of doing to his girlfriend. I know his music helped a lot of people, but at the same time, his actions were extremely harmful. I'd like to think that if a situation similar to that happened today, I'd make the decision to stop listening, but I can't know for sure until it happens. Is a higher score on the evil scale good or bad? I would assume bad. I will not be scaling hate speech. I don't think that it's like an actual scale. I think it's just a way to express. No, I think it's just a way to express the differences between things. You're not actually putting things on a scale. I feel like that's almost impossible, but you have to recognize that there are different levels of things. I feel the same with X, but I think a big thing that's also being missed is redemption. What happens if the artist is remorseful or changes their ways? Yeah. Ultimately, I think it's, well, we talked about responsibility. Part of that is not just redemption, but to be actively making a difference. I feel like X was really young too, right? So that's also something to take into consideration, is like, will they be able to learn from this and grow from it? He was 21 when he passed. Yeah, I feel like 21, well, I don't know the full extent of what X did, but judging by this message, I feel like it was not good. But I feel like you can grow from most things after 21. I think it also depends on who you are and how you take it. For example, I would understand an AFAB not being able to separate the art from X. Yeah, for sure. I got that comment a lot on the Weekend trilogy that I listened to as well. It was like, oh, it's interesting listening to this, or seeing a reaction of this from another perspective that isn't just like macho man. Because it does affect people in different ways. People have different relations to the topic at hand. I listened to X's music without knowing anything about him until years later. 17 was a super impactful album for me in really difficult time. Oh, DB. Oh. Yeah, it's tough. Could you not argue that the art turns into greenwashing for that person's bad actions? Well, the factor would be intent. Are they actually improving on their bad actions, or are they just trying to PR, basically? And it's difficult to know that from just a listener's perspective, so that's why most of these speculations happen. And that's why these conversations keep coming up, you know? That's why I said at the beginning, I feel like we're not going to get to a resolve ever for this, but it's interesting to see people's perspectives. Especially now that it's topical, and that I wanted to actually hear people's opinions. But let's move on. With music, I'm not really able to, because I feel like the artist and art are so connected. For something like a TV show where an actor or a director has done something fucked up, it's easier for me to not think about. But with music, wait, when an actor or director, even if the actor is like front and center? Because I could understand if it's like someone doing behind the scenes stuff, like their job is to not be noticed, so it's easier to put them in the background. But if it's a director or someone with substantial hands in the buckets, I feel like it's a little more difficult for me to make that distinction. But with music, I feel like the output is usually a direct representation of the artist's experiences, feelings, worldview. It's much more personal. I think timing and familiarity with the artist also matter. It's easier to have that dissonance when I'm not into an artist, or if the news isn't everywhere online. Using Kanye as an example, the heinous shit he's done is impossible to look away from online, so I will always think about that when listening to his music. But for someone like Rex Orange County or Slow Tie, whose allegations weren't massive stories and whose careers I haven't followed closely, I could probably listen to a song from either of them and not feel any real guilt. As far as timing is concerned, I'm less likely to feel anything negative toward any older work that came out before any negative actions from the artist. I think it's not up to us to judge people, that's what the law is for. I think that there are some actions that you can disagree with, and that's okay. I don't think that you're going to agree with everything that everyone does. What did Slow Tie do? I think that there were allegations, like no, maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I know that at least one person came forward with essay allegations, but I didn't look too much into it because I don't know Slow Tie, but Quentin is a huge fan, so we did talk about it a little bit. I think that matters as well in allegation versus conviction and how much evidence you get to see personally. I think that it does play a part of it, but I think that you're allowed to have your own moral ground. I think that's more going into a different territory than what we're talking about now, of whether or not you can separate the art from the artist. Because at that point, it's like, oh, I'll only stop supporting this artist if they're convicted. I just don't like the public pillory. I liked being oblivious to that now. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like, at what point do you rain on someone's parade if they're enjoying music just for the music, and if it is completely separate from, Oh, the trial is still going? I didn't even know. We're gonna hate on Peggy and Gibbs for being with Ye. They each also got their own controversies. Yeah. I don't know. Let me, oh, this one's smaller. Let me be honest, I know what these artists have done. Let me be honest, I know what these artists have done wrong and hold them accountable, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I won't stop listening to them or watching, in the case of actors, their movies. Example, R. Kelly, who I think we've talked about R. Kelly 2 times now, has done some of the most fucked shit ever. He deserves to be locked up, but I'm not going to lie and say that he isn't one of the best R&B artists of all time. I'm still going to throw down some ass in the club to some Ignition remix by him. Same with Kanye. I'm still listening and will for sure be purchasing tour tickets if he does one, because it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me. I am and will still be a fan of his music production for my 20 years that I've been living. Kevin Spacey's extremely fucked up as well. He has some really good movies, can't ignore American Beauty, and acting skills, which I still watch, but deserves every punishment for the things he's done hella. In the end, I really just don't feel any emotion of anger or sadness toward them. When listening to their art, I'm just vibing. I got my own values that I stick to and I don't let them influence it. I know what I care about and go against what is considered to be bad in my opinion, such as being an anti-Semite, which I don't agree with. Yeah, I appreciate the honesty. It probably does help that it's anonymous though. Peggy was definitely hypocritical for that. Gibbs has never claimed to be on the moral high horse, to be honest. The Peggy situation was very interesting because, at least for me, it looked like he was, I mean, I haven't listened to too much of his musical history, but he did seem to be a lot more left-leaning and very vocal about his positions in the music that he makes. There was a lot of that in Scaring the Hose and an LP, which I have listened to. So it was kind of like a, what? But ultimately, I mean, I did see he tweeted earlier today where he was defending himself, like, don't you have family members who are racist? Do you, like, disown them? And from that I can kind of understand it, because I do have family members who are racist. I don't necessarily talk to them, but I'm cordial with them. Like, there is a line that has to be drawn. I don't know anything about, is it Freddie Gibbs who we're talking about? Kanye is not his family. Yeah, but I think he was just using it as an example. If you're gonna sell it because it's your hero, just admit it. I think he did admit it. So I can respect that as well. That he's like, that Peggy said Kanye was a huge inspiration for him. So they were beefing heavy on Twitter earlier for like no reason. Yeah, I did not see that. Are you proud of me? I have not downloaded Twitter again. I have gone on my computer a couple of times, but I haven't downloaded it to my phone. So I'm out of the loop. It's called X. Sorry, I meant X. Why can't people just get along? Surely it's not that difficult. Well, clearly. Clearly it is. Let's see. I believe it is possible to separate the... Oh, this is a little bit of a long one. I believe it is possible to separate the artist from the art to a certain extent. We are all human beings who can mess up in many different ways that may cause the general public/audience to be upset. Although, When said artist has repeated offenses, time after time, and has simply ignored what their actions and or words may have caused, I find it extremely difficult to just ignore that. I do want to say, separate or similar to this, that just because you disagree with it doesn't mean that someone else doesn't, and I'm worried whenever that happens because they could be getting a lot of positive praise from the other side, for example, and that's why they don't learn their lessons or whatever. It's because they don't know, or they don't agree with it in the first place. So if they don't, how did they phrase this? If they don't change their offenses time after time, it could possibly be because of that. Hopefully that made sense. It wasn't really making sense coming out of my mouth, actually. So what I was trying to say was that it's not that they're ignoring it, it's probably because they're being praised by other people. Okay. Okay, made sense. Good. I personally listened to canceled artists' work before they were canceled, especially when these artists were some of my all-time favorites. Even when I listen to the material now, it doesn't quite hit the same, at least compared to how it once did. However, when it comes down to new projects, I stay clear from anything they may support that may support these artists' offenses simply because I think it's the right thing to do. At the end of the day, this is unfortunately a never-ending cycle. More mistakes are going to be made and more artists are going to get canceled. It's impossible to know everything about every single artist out there, no matter how hard we might try. So to answer the question, can you separate the art from the artist? I guess it really comes down to each individual to decide for themselves. So true. Off topic, but have you listened to any Break-Ins or the new Quadeca album? No. Okay, I think we'll do one more. Oh, this one was your scope? Why do people still listen to Young Thug even though he's basically going to jail for being in a gang? Is that better than allegedly being anti-Semitic? Well, that's what we were talking about before, is about Young Thug, and we didn't know all the details. What's too far? Like, what's too big of a thing to forgive an artist for? Like Goat said, it really comes down to each individual to decide for themselves. Did I already say I think we'll do one more? I think it'll go too far if a nuke is dropped. Being in a gang is nothing like being anti-Semitic. Interesting. I feel like there are some parallels to be made because both, I feel like, are a product of your environment. Definitely depends on the context. What does crack do? It keeps track of how many times I crack my knuckles during stream. We shouldn't be comparing crimes in the first place, I feel like, because, well, they're still crimes. I don't think we're comparing them, I think we're just trying to figure out where we draw the line. And it's going to be different for every single person. So we're not going to get to a conclusion here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. A gang doesn't discriminate an entire group of people based off of how they were born / religion. Some communities force you to be in a gang, and being anti-Semitic is definitely a choice. A gang causes harm. Someone with massive influence can also do harm by being a racist or anti-Semite. Okay. Yeah, big conversation to be had here, apparently. Separating the two is typically a personal choice that can be decided given a large amount of factors. For example, did the artist become controversial pre or post-release of music? Does the controversy focus on subjective topics? There are an infinite amount of factors that can decide if someone can separate the art from the artist, and personally, I believe if someone chooses to do so, that does not inherently mean they are a bad person. But it's also understood for the opposite side, where the art represents the person. I believe it's a personal choice that does not reflect on the morality of the consumer to a degree. Can we Rico charge the KKK? If people want to personally boycott an artist, that's fine, just don't force that on other people. I think that was a point brought up in the original duplee video. And for the most part, people just don't like being, or people don't like having other people's opinions shoved down their throats. I feel like that's a... You watched that vid? Yeah, I watched it after I watched the debate video because I was like, what are they talking about? But it did not help me with context at all. So, I will say that. Ultimately, I feel like if you personally feel like harm is being done, then you don't want to consume harmful content. And that is going to vary from person to person. The thumbnail was enough to keep me away. Duplee's vid is so brain dead. He's a good dude, just horrendously uninformed. I feel like I got the impression that he was very young. So maybe doesn't have a lot of experience. But I don't know him, so I don't know. He's gotta be like 17. Maybe, or maybe a little older. Can we listen to some Kendrick to heal? Oh, we have to. I wish we could do a watch party for that Vice documentary that I was talking about earlier because it was so insightful. And since it's like essentially off the internet, I'm just like, this message has been taken from us. But I would recommend looking for Noisy Bompton featuring Kendrick Lamar, if you can. Play T-Bab to heal us. I think instead we're going to take a little bit of a bathroom break, and then when we get back we'll try to set up the watch party stuff. If you don't have Twitch Prime connected to your account, or if you don't have Amazon Prime connected to your Twitch account, then I forgot what I was saying. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, BRB. We'll figure it out after.